Alrighty, just a few questions before we end the session, inshallah. Does the effectiveness of a speaker relate to their sincerity? If someone is a very effective speaker, does it mean that it is a sign of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala putting barakah into their talk?
Effective speaker. Look, I'll tell you this much. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, "Inna min al-bayani la-sihra." What did Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam say? "Inna min al-bayani la-sihra." What happened was that two guys came to visit Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. They were both friends. They came from the same tribe. And one of them, he introduced himself to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And he really praised himself. Like, I'm this, I'm that, and I did this, and I've been to this college. And he kind of really bigged himself up. And then at the end of it, he said to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, "You can ask my friend and he'll tell you about me too." So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam actually asked the friend, "So what are your thoughts about this guy?" That guy, he said about his friend, everything he said is a lie. What did he say to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? Everything that guy said about himself it's all a lie. And then he told the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam what he thought about that guy. So a few moments ago, that guy praised himself. He did such a good job that the Prophet was convinced that this is a great person. Then 2 moments later, this guy, he spoke against him with such eloquence that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was convinced that he's not a good person. And they did this 2-3 times back and forth. They just kept talking smack about each other. And at the end of it, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam held his head and said, "Inna min al-bayani la-sihra." That sometimes speech has a magic-like effect on people. Now, this could be maqam al-madh or maqam al-dham. Either it could be in praise or otherwise. Because either you can say that sometimes speech is so powerful that it could change people, or it could be sihr is not a good thing in Islam, generally speaking. So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is saying that this overpraising isn't a good thing. So let's come back to the answer. So what does effectiveness mean? If effectiveness means that someone's words take you into a emotional state because they're good speakers, then I'm not sure if that's, Hitler was a great speaker. Right? He was loud, but he was good. Decent speaker. I think Obama was a really good speaker. I listen to his lectures for fun sometimes. His dramatic pauses are just so good. He knows exactly when to stop. Then he'll look around, glance at the room, like a Shah Rukh Khan move, and then he'll continue speaking. Now, he's a good speaker, but I'm not sure if that's what I consider as a praiseworthy speech. And I'm not going to judge anyone's speech because that's judging someone's intentions. In Islam, when we talk about meaningful speech, it has much more to do of where it originates and where it is directed towards. And if it originates from the heart and it is directed towards the heart, even though the words themselves may not be as colorful, how you know someone's speech is impactful is that they leave a print on you. You desire more. You want to learn more. Their words remind you of Allah. They connect you to Allah. Something I mentioned earlier, and I'll say this before we take the next question. If you attend someone's speech and you feel like that you're more connected to that person than you are to Allah, maybe you should stay away from those speeches. If you find someone trying to promote their brand, who they are, kind of like their identity more than promoting Allah and Rasulullah, it's not a good thing. When you come out of a lecture, how you know that you experience something powerful is that, as Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, إِذَا رُؤُوا ذُكِرَ اللَّهِ. The friends of Allah are those that just by looking at them, what happens? You're reminded of Allah. Khair wallahu alam.
Next question. If you are hesitant to do a certain good deed because you fear your intention is in the wrong place, should you continue and still do it, or should you hold back?
If you're thinking about doing a good deed, you're not sure if your intention is in the wrong place, should you do it or not? So I have 2 answers. The first answer is, rectify your intention by verbally saying it, that Ya Allah, this is for you, and then do the good deed. Don't step away from the good deed. What's my first answer? Verbally say it. Just say it verbally. Ya Allah, I'm about to do something. It's for you. And if you need to say it, you say it. I'm struggling with my intentions, but I'm saying it verbally. For the fact to be established. I'm doing it for you. And then just do it. The second thing that I'll say is, if you struggle a lot with your intentions, find someone to help you. Mentorship in Islam is very important. Someone to actually find out whether you're just doubting yourself unnecessarily or whether what your concerns are about you are actually real concerns. So imposter syndrome is a reality. That's a thing where it's just an unjustified, unrealistic, illogical sort of assumption you're making. Does that make sense? Like someone has studied law for 15 years and they say, I can't give a verdict. So it's very possible that that person is they're suffering from imposter syndrome. But on the other hand, sometimes what could happen is that your criticism about yourself is true. It's actually not unfound. And that's where having that real life relationship, and I say parents all the time first because parents know their kids. You know, you may think that you can't benefit from your parents, but your parents will keep it real with you. Sometimes you just need to sit with your parents and ask them, Mama, Baba, you know me best. Do you think this fear that I have is realistic? And if you feel like your mom and dad are just always soft because you're their baby and they're always kissing and hugging you, then find someone. It could be a sibling, could be a cousin, could be the imam, could be the youth director of your masjid, or someone who's 2 years older than you. But you need to have someone in life that you can have to coach you and mentor you. It goes a long way. Wallahu a'lam.
Next question. How do we gauge our intentions over a period of time for our activism? If we feel lost in sincerity, do we step away from the activism we're working on, or do we not?
I'm not a fan of this idea that because you don't feel the sincerity, you stop doing the action. My perspective is more on fix the intention. That's why, and the easiest way to work on fixing your intention is just to verbalize it, say it. You know, there's an ayah of the Quran that I recommend to say before you do something. قُلْ إِنَّ صَلَاتِي وَنُسُكِي وَمَحْيَايَ وَمَمَاتِي لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. And this is a statement Ibrahim alayhi salam was told to say, you know, and also directed to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam too, that my life and death is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Or إِنِّي وَجَّهْتُ وَجْهِيَ لِلَّذِي فَطَرَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ حَنِيفًا وَمَا أَنَا مِنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ. This is another beautiful verse. Anything. You just choose your verse, your dua, your language. It's up to you. It's a test it out loud. I don't think you should leave something because you are skeptical of your intentions, because intentions, the battle with intentions is a tough one. Sufyan al-Thawri said, I fought with my intentions until today. And I'm assuming he said the statement at the end of his life. And he's telling his students that it's been a lifelong journey and I've been fighting with my intentions. Sometimes ghalabani, sometimes it overcomes me, and sometimes ghalabtuhu, I overcome it. Yes? What role does shaitan have in putting doubt in the intentions of people? Like, very big. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam warns us of something called waswasa. Have you guys heard of that before? No? Waswasa? I like to translate waswasa as irrational doubts. Not just doubts. How do I translate them as? Irrational. It's kind of like someone... the Qari Nauman there, I just noticed the Sheikh and they got it. Sorry, Sheikh. Please, Qari, before the session is over, can everyone please ask Qari Nauman to read some Quran before the session is over? We've been treated with his presence. He'll come up here, he'll read a little Quran before the session is over. Come on up, Sheikh Saf. He's the Imam in Milwaukee. He has very beautiful recitation, mashallah. I had the honor of leading Taraweeh with him a few years ago, and he really dwarfed me. I felt like I was in my first year of reading the Quran. Like I had just learned, even though I was hafid and it was only a few years ago, but Allah rewarded him, mashallah. So we're blessed with him. We'll ask him to read some Quran for us too while he's here. I was actually supposed to go back to Chicago tomorrow, but I'm going to hang around until Wednesday because he asked me to be in his community for a New Year's program in Milwaukee. So we're going to do a qiyam, inshallah. They're massive. The answer is massive. Does shaitan play a role in in creating irrational doubts? Actually, I was going to talk about OCD. That's what I was heading towards. I was saying that, have you ever seen someone with OCD? You ever met someone that has obsessive compulsive disorder? It's just a lot of doubts that people are experiencing. And I believe that those doubts have to do with shaitan. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam taught us a dua to read, by the way, for someone who suffers from excessive doubts. If you have a lot of irrational doubts, you need to see a therapist. First things first. Let's just get that out of the way. Okay, it's a condition and it has to be dealt with properly. But as far as spiritually, there's a beautiful dua that I recommend. It's from the Quran. أعوذ بك من همزات الشياطين وأعوذ بك ربي أن يحضرون. What was the dua, guys? أعوذ بك من همزات الشياطين وأعوذ بك ربي أن يحضرون. This is from the Quran. So if you just search that, you'll find it, and that'll be it. What was that, sorry? Repeat it again. Let me check what verse. Can someone who has a phone check what verse that is? Aisha, can you check or something? No, I said what verse that is of the surah. Yeah. Are we done with the session? I will get that verse number for you. Are we done with the session, inshallah? I was going to ask Qari Nu'man to read some Quran, and then we'll end our session with that, inshallah. And I'll get that verse number for you. Whoever asked for it, you can meet me afterwards, and I'll get it for you. If you didn't get it, we'll get it for you. Mu'minun 97, 98. Yeah, that's right. It's towards the end. It's in the 18th at the beginning, right before the surah ends. Khair, I'm going to give it to Sheikh Qari Nu'man. He's going to read some Quran for us, and then we'll end our session.